From Bijeljina, the ethnic cleansing spread in an arc across northern and eastern Bosnia. It progressed town by town, village by village. It was well planned, well resourced, terrifying and efficient. In the summer of 1992, I reported from the town of Kostanica. The Muslims there knew that they were next. They were waiting to be cleansed. "I've lived in this house for 20 years, she said. Of course I'm being driven out." I was filming at this family home. Suddenly, a neighbor arrived to warn the family that the police were on their way. Someone had tipped them off that we were there. They were terrified. "If the police find you here," the young man told me, "we're done for." They did find us there. I never found out what happened to the family. What has become of those who hung white flags from their balconies? Look at Republika Srpska today, and Karadzic's dream of a separate Serb state is, in most senses, a living reality. Precious few of the cleansed have returned, despite the formal legal right to do so.
Take this house here, for example. There's a notice in the window saying that it's for sale, with a phone number to call. Now, I don't know for sure, but I will guess that this belonged to a Muslim family who were kicked out in 92 or 93 and have come back to reclaim their property, but don't want to come back and live here. So when I get back to Sarajevo, I'm going to call that number and find out what happened here.
Banja Luka is the administrative center of Republika Srpska. Sarajevo might be the capital city the world recognizes formally, but real power in the land that ethnic cleansing built lies here.
Well, this place is changing quite a bit. The last time I was here, it was a drab little brick and concrete provincial town. Now they're building a brand new, purpose-built political capital for what's looking more and more like an independent state in all but name. Bosnian Serb independence in bright, shining, confident glass and steel. And the Prime Minister of this state works in there.
I asked him why Bosnia as a whole still had no properly functioning central state.
Naš razvoj nije uperen protiv Bosne i Hercegovine. Naš razvoj se odvija u okviru naše nadležnosti koje mi imamo. Ne može biti sređeno stanje u jednom dijelu Bosne i Hercegovine razlog da ona ne funkcioniše, nego očigledno su problemi daleko dublje prirode.
He said Republika Srpska no longer wanted union with Serbia, but the threat of seceding from Bosnia remains one of his strongest cards.
Kao što vidite, mi ne negiramo Bosnu i Hercegovinu, a poprilično su nam se smučile razne tvrdnje kojima se negira Republika Srpska. Da li će ovaj narod imati dovoljno strpljenja da i dalje trpi omalovažavanja i negiranja, on će o tome sam odlučiti.
The Dayton Agreement signed in 1995 ended the war, but at what price? It partitioned Bosnia into a Serb half and a Muslim Croat half. International efforts to stitch them back together, to build a proper Bosnian state, have so far failed. Bosnia is still a country where former neighbors regard each other with suspicion and fear.
Well, now that we're back in Sarajevo, you might remember that house that I saw in Banja Luka with the for sale sign in the window. My hunch at the time was that it must be a Muslim or Croat family who were ethnically cleansed in 1992 or 93 and had gone back to reclaim their property but couldn't actually live there. Well, we gave them a ring. They are here in Sarajevo. They didn't want to see us and talk to us on camera, but they did agree to give me a short telephone interview to explain what happened. So I'll call them now and try and ask them in my own rudimentary Serbo-Croat why they're selling their house. Dobro jutro, gospođo.
Dobro jutro.
Ja sam britanski novinar Alan Little iz BBC-a. Recite me, zašto vi želite prodati kuću?
Želim prodati zato što nosim ružne uspomene iz tog grada. Znate sam rat, isterivanje.
I što je desilo? Što je desilo? Što je bilo?
a vidjela sam one svoje komšije kako traže, udaraju, ubijaju. Ispod mene je ženu staru htjela da pobjegne, oni su nju ubili.
Doviđenja, doviđenja. Well, the long and the short of it is 15 years later they're still terrified to go back. They were thrown out of their house in 1993, and it's a perfect illustration of what's happened here, the voluntary segregation of people after the war. And if the campaign of ethnic cleansing that went on for 3 years was designed to make it impossible for Serbs and Muslims to live together, then that's a classic illustration of the simple fact that it seems to have worked.
And so, as Serbia and Croatia, the two countries that conspired so effectively to dismember Bosnia 15 years ago, continue their progress to the European mainstream, to the EU and NATO membership, Bosnia has no functioning state capable of implementing the reforms it needs. As its neighbours take the high road to Europe, Bosnia, still broken, still paralysed, is being left behind.